Korea and Australia are celebrating 60 years of diplomatic ties this year and have agreed to enhance these ties through a comprehensive strategic partnership during a state visit to Australia by President Moon Jae-in earlier this week. Now, for more on the bilateral relationship, I have Professor Song Soo-young from Chung-Ang University. Welcome back, Professor Song.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
I also have Liz Griffin, the Executive Director of the Australia-Korea Business Council. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Director Griffin.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right, Professor Song, we'll start here. Korea is seeking to diversify its supply chains of critical minerals to offset potential disruptions in the future. Now, having said that, do tell us a bit about the role played by Australia, or currently being played by Australia, in ensuring stable access to raw materials for Korea.
Yeah, that is one of the most important factors. That brings the President Moon Jae-in's state visit to Australia. But more than that, I think of previously the Australia and the Korean relationship is based upon just a peer rather than a partner. But they would like to improve this relationship, the mediocre relationship for the past 60 years. And right now, the main reason is, of course, both countries have some relationship with China and the U.S. Respectively. Therefore, however, the two countries do not have such a very intimate relationship and a comprehensive relationship at all. But not just because of the rare earth materials or other important raw materials. In addition to that, the comprehensive partnership relationship is expected, and this would be a start of that relationship.
Right, hopefully. Director Griffin, President Moon is said to be the first head of a foreign state to visit Australia amid the pandemic at the invitation of Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison. Do you care to shed some light perhaps on the background behind this invitation?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned at the start, 2021, the year 2021 represents the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Australia and Korea. So I think that's some of the reason behind Scott Morrison's invitation to President Moon. Also, Korea is a significant partner to Australia. Korea is our third largest export market and fourth largest trading partner overall. So we're always looking, and our governments are always looking for more opportunities to engage. And also, we knew that the Hanwha decision, the decision by the Australian government to award Hanwha Defence Australia the Land 8116 project was due towards the end of this year. And so it seems like these were some of the contributing factors behind Scott Morrison's invitation to President Moon.
Right. Director Griffin, I understand you attended talks between the two countries on critical mineral supply chain. What were some of the issues addressed then?
That's right. The Australia-Korea Business Council co-hosted this meeting together with MOTI and also KOTRA. It was a meeting between President Moon and also some of our members who are critical minerals players who have also relationships with Korean firms. Our members use this meeting as an opportunity to deliver some key messages to the President around what is required to step up our cooperation between Australia and Korea in critical minerals. First, in terms of opportunity, our members said that they saw a huge opportunity to streamline supply chains, value add in downstream processing, and also to bypass third markets. So our members said to President Moon that we want long-term, mutually beneficial partnerships, and through these partnerships we can minimise our supply chain risk. One of the other opportunities that our members said during the meeting, or highlighted during the meeting, was around our ESG capabilities. Australia has very strong credentials in mining in an environmentally and sustainable way. But it was also an opportunity to raise some challenges with the President. One of the key challenges that many of our members face in this sector is access to project financing and access to capital. So the message to the President was that we want to see Korean firms take on some of the strategic risk and invest early to secure their supply chain. We've already seen significant investments from POSCO, but we welcome more foreign investment from Korea, and we need this foreign investment in order to guarantee offtake.
Right. Professor Song, as Director Griffin has mentioned, along with those challenges, the two countries, Australia and Korea, they've agreed to ensure stable supply chains for critical minerals. Could you tell us a bit more about the agreement reached between the two countries?
Yeah, because both countries have experienced some bad relationship because of the China coercion against both countries. Because in 2017, Korea has a little bit suffered from some Chinese government some restriction on the Korean, Korean cultural factors, but that did not affect so much in terms of international trade. However, in 2020 and 2021, we have suffered from the sudden halt of the export from China to Korea, particularly urea solution, so diesel exhaust fluid. So even though it is not of such important material, but it could be a really significant threat against us. So that's why our government would like to diversify the supply chain of the critical minerals, even though it is not such important one. And on the other hand, as Mrs. Griffin has mentioned earlier, that Australia, the largest international trading country is China. Almost 50%, almost 42% of export from Australia to China is 42%. The import from China is also accounted for 30%. So huge trade surplus existed between Australia and China, but that was really threatened. Because of that, Australia has tried to diversify their export and economic trade relationship. Therefore, they would like to access to India, and also South Korea is the third largest import country from Australia. So to that regard, the trade surplus that has been enjoyed, that the Australian government has enjoyed, is very huge, next to U.S. Next to China and other countries, for example, Japan. And so that's why that forces both countries to have some certain elevated relationship rather than just remaining as a mediocre relationship to some very strategic alliance between the two countries. That is the main cause, I believe.
Right, a comprehensive partnership then.
That's right.
Director Griffin, back in late September, I believe, you penned a piece on the potential role that Korea can play in driving Australia's next minerals boom. Now, would you like to take this opportunity to share your views with us?
Yeah, absolutely. As I've said before, Australia wants a very strong and a comprehensive relationship with Korea. And we have released a report, a critical minerals report actually recently, Critical Minerals Urgent Opportunities. And again, this speaks to the opportunity for Australia to partner with Korea to guarantee their access to supply chains that they require for some of their industries, in particular, fourth industrial revolution. We know that Korean companies are at the forefront of this, but they need access to Australia's critical minerals and rare earths. And so really we're looking and trying to find ways for our members to build stronger collaboration with their Korean partners in order to make this happen.
Right. Director Griffin, staying with that, in that particular article, you talk about Australia needing to look beyond the dig and ship approach and that Korea would be the perfect partner for this. Would you like to explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to move beyond what we call the dig and ship economy, and we would like to move further down the supply chain and work with Korea to value add, and by doing that, to value add to some of our processing. So not only ship the minerals and rare earths to Korea, but to also partner with Korea in the processing element, which is at the moment strongly controlled by China. So we see a huge opportunity to work closer to Korea, to value add in the downstream processing and therefore bypassing some of these third markets.
Right. Meanwhile, Professor Song, as Director Griffin mentioned earlier, on the defence front, Australia has also inked a deal to purchase K9 self-propelled howitzers. What are the economic implications, perhaps, of this deal?
I think basically it has a deepening the relationship and some strategic cooperation between the two countries in terms of defense and the securities, because Australia and Korea actually is far and remote, very far away from each other. But because of China, could be some kind of a threat against Australia when China has expanded their territory and some economic territory over the Indonesia and the Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries. Actually, Australia had such experience during the World War II. Japan has approached almost to Australia, and Australia has deployed some soldiers to counterattack the Japanese invasion over the Australian continent. So, to that regard, I believe that is because Australia has some main interest in building up some artillery and armed for security issues with South Korea. But basically, the reason is because as I mentioned earlier, trade surplus is huge for Australia against South Korea. So that is why because in order for the Australian government not to lose some their partners and clients, therefore they would like to. Actually, basically, Australia has 25 million population, and its economy imported so high-end technologies and high technology equipment, but still they have a huge trade surplus. Therefore, they would like to make up, and they would like to show their intent to balance the economic trade with South Korea. That's why they decide to purchase the K9 self-propelled howitzer. And because self-propelled howitzer is in the worldwide market, there are more than 100 countries have produced such an artillery. So to that regard, I believe that is a gesture and a very favorable, friendly gesture by Australian government to maintain and deepen the relationship, even more than the diplomatic and securities and some rather than a peer-to-peer some comprehensive relationship.
Right. And aside from deals on the defense and trade fronts, Director Griffin, bilateral collaboration has also been pledged on efforts to ensure carbon neutrality. Could you tell us a bit more about these efforts?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was great to see our two leaders sign the low and zero emissions technology partnership while President Moon was in Australia. And both countries have a goal to reach carbon neutrality by 2050. And this is something that both governments are very serious about. We also know that Korea has a goal for reducing carbon emissions by 40% by 2030. And technology is a way that both countries can reach our climate ambitions. And of course, this requires investment and also leadership from government. So this technology development and commercialisation agreement will add a significantly new dimension to the relationship. And Australia and Korea both have fantastic research and development institutes. We know Korea has been ranked as the most innovative economy by Bloomberg, and Korea also spends a significant amount of its GDP on R&D. So in many ways, this is a fantastic opportunity for Australia to partner with Korea to solve a common problem.
Right, and talking about solving a common problem and partnering, Director Griffin, what can you share with us about the future endeavours of your council as both countries perhaps seek a way out of the pandemic and beyond?
Absolutely. As Professor Song said, we're really looking to diversify Australia's export markets, and Korea has certainly come to the fore in terms of countries that Australia is looking to diversify into. At the Australia-Korea Business Council, we have identified now it's 7 actually because of defence, 7 priority areas where we see the most potential in the Australia-Korea relationship. And these are in energy, and in particular hydrogen, critical minerals, food and agriculture, innovation in health and biotech, education and also financial services, and of course now defence. So we're working very hard for our members to determine what the opportunities are with Korea and then link them to the right businesses in Korea so that they can further explore these opportunities and take advantage of the opportunities with Korean companies.
Right. And back here in the studio, Professor Song, very briefly speaking then, what is your assessment of the economic partnership between Korea and Australia amid their 60th anniversary of diplomatic ties this year?
Yeah, actually just the start of the deepening relationship, because from the mediocre relationship to some comprehensive, and as Ms. Griffin has mentioned, we have 7 areas to explore and deepen the relationship. So I look forward to that.
Right, we look forward to it too. All right, Professor Song, as always, thank you very much for your insights. Director Griffin, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.